First time I ever took a drag off a cigarette, I was 5 years old.
Can't do that.
Grandpa had a cigarette in one of his choo-choo trains because the little puff thing didn't work. What's that, Grandpa? It's a cigarette. Make smoke come out of your mouth. That's cool. Can I do it? Yeah. Right when the smoke was coming out, who walks in the room down the basement? My mom. Well, both our ass. Yeah.
My name is Terry Lee. I'm here hosting my second episode of the Front Porch Podcast, put on by James Grayson with Go Texas Productions. And I'm joined today by Jparks, kind of businessman do-all here in Buda, Texas. Owns fantastic mud bugs, and Jparks. He's probably got some other cool stuff on the horizon. And man, what a great way to end. It's a Wednesday right now. It feels like a Monday. Great way to end the day. Yep. Honestly, better company with James than with you, but you know.
James is good people, and I appreciate you opening your home and doing this. This is super cool, and man, I really don't get a chance to sit down and talk to you just one-on-one very often. So this is a.
So what's up going on? How's business?
Business is good. It's getting better. Yeah. We've had our challenges. I mean, like any business right now. Yeah. Well, the climate, the economic climate is just it's insane. So we're doing everything that we can within our power. And when we say it's a community effort, we couldn't be more correct. And that's exactly what we really love about what I love about Buda. It's the quintessential community.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, okay, so that's something you and I always talk about, and I always kind of like kicking around like the community and the things that you're doing with business. But my wife was telling me, I was telling my neighbors I was coming to do this tonight, and they're like, Jeff, I don't really know Jeff. I'm like, how would you describe Jeff? Yeah, you're kind of an enigmatic individual too, and I don't know if you're as polarizing as I am sometimes, but I think you are.
Polarizing?
But
wow.
I think there are folks in this town. I mean, there's a lot of great folks who do business in this town.
Oh yeah,
right?
Fantastic. Yeah.
And there are kind of students of business. There's guys who are just shrewd business guys, and they're really, really good at business. But I don't think that I know anybody that's as passionate about their business as you, and I try and kind of impress that upon the people that I meet with, and I don't think that can really come across until they sit down and talk to you about one of your projects and about one of your passions. But kind of back me up a little bit, like how long have you been in Buda and how did you get here?
Serendipitously.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. I've always wanted to open my own restaurant. I've always been in restaurants. I started off as cooking, started when I was 5 years old, on a stool at the stove next to my mom. I mean, when I'm cutting potatoes, I've got the knife in my hand, but her hand is over my hand. Yeah. You know, just like a parent would. And the best thing about my mom for me is that my cooking first started with her. My very first memory of that. We soak the beans overnight, pinto beans. Yeah. You can use Great Northern Whites if you want to, but pinto beans is the original recipe. But I made I cracked the eggs for the cornbread. I mixed it, and my mom held the wool and I scraped it, and I learned how not to waste things with my mom too. We used everything. If we didn't cut it up to put it in the stew, then we're using to make a vegetable stock. I mean, I'm making vegetable stock from 9 years old. Yeah. I'm cooking on 5. I'm on my own. Every time when I go to a party or whatnot back in Pensacola, I always ended up at the stove or, at the grill outside. I mean, most guys kind of gravitate towards that anyway, I think. Beer in hand, whatnot, cooler in tow.
Making vegetable stock.
Exactly. Yeah. Not at parties. No. But then friends of mine were like, you should do your own business because I've always been in restaurants. Mm-hmm. My first job was in 1984. I spent the summer with my cousins in Dallas. Okay. Or actually in Irving, and my aunt got me an interview with a friend of hers that owned a Days Inn franchise, and they had the restaurants in there, And so I applied for a busboy position. And he goes, do you know what a busboy does? Zero idea. I have no idea. I just, can I make some money out of it? I want to.
Yeah.
I went up to my aunt and I asked my aunt Lois, and she lives with my cousin David and his wife Sarah Randon out in Drip. And she's the only aunt I have. My mom was a single child, so only child,
Okay.
and my dad and his sister. So she's the last surviving outside the family. And I'm super close with her. I don't talk to her near so much. Sorry, Aunt Lois. I'll try to do better. It's great seeing you last week, though. My whole family was in town. Both my sisters, my brother, my parents. My dad's 85, 82. Anyway, I get off on tangent after tangent after tangent.
I'll try and reel you in.
Normally what I do, reel me back, man.
Yep.
So I actually asked my aunt for $300. 1984 music scene was just going every direction but loose. You know, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And she goes, what do you want $300? I said, I want to buy Jparks. She goes, what's Jparks? And I said, it's a radio you can carry around your shoulder.
I got no idea what a Jparks is. I was born in 1985.
Oh my God.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
I saw my first concert before you were born.
Sweet.
It's okay. But anyway, Jparks, a big radio.
Yeah,
You know, Carrie,
yeah.
you've seen the 80s videos.
Yeah.
It had detachable speakers. It was a Fisher dual cassette, EQ. It was great. Back in the days, you could take a piece of tape and put it on top of a cassette. Then you could record it or record off of it.
Okay.
That's what those little holes
yeah.
in the tops. So anyway, she goes, I won't give you the money, but I'll get you an interview, get yourself a job, earn your money yourself.
Yeah.
So I did. A couple of weeks into it, you know, I'm very, very systematic with my job there. I took it seriously. I had a goal. You know, I want to earn enough money to get this thing that I wanted. That was my drive.
Yeah.
And how it's so 180 from that point. Reel me back in on that. How it's 180 from that. The dishwasher would go outside and smoke a cigarette. So often the dishes would back up and back. I was like, man, you're throwing my game off. I only have X amount of bus tubs. Half of them are full waiting on your rear end to get in here. So I just started, I can't bitch about it. I'm just going to clean dishes.
Yeah.
2 weeks of that. Every time. And they're seeing this. And so they pulled me in one day and they're like going, so I've been there about a month. And my 3 weeks or 3 months is your summer break. And I 2 weeks of that, we went on growing up, my family, my cousin's family, big into church and all that. That's why my other people, my family still is. We went on this youth group trip to the Rockies. It was super cool. And then came back, went right back to work.
Yep.
The management approached me and they said, hey, you know, do you enjoy washing dishes and busing while you're here? Because we see that you're doing it. I'm like, well, I mean, it's got to be done. Whether I like it or not, it's got to be done. That's my job, right? And they're like, right answer. And they're like, well, we've been wanting to let this guy go for a while. He just doesn't work very hard. Obviously, you're doing the job of both. You can do it.
Yeah.
So what if we bump up, we'll double what we're paying you because it was still less than what they were paying him. He had a specific job. I'm relying more on tips from the way, and I didn't know what the hell a tip is. My first shift working, after I had like 2 days of training, picked it up pretty quick. And then the girls come up to me, they give me a wad of cash, and going at the end of my show, what's this for? It's a tip out.
You earned it. Yeah.
Well, what's a tip out? Well, the customers give us money because we do a good job, and you turn our tables so fast, we're doubling our production.
Yeah.
You know, we're doubling our revenue. And the more tables we can turn, the more money we make, the more money you're going to make. I'm going, it clicked just like that. I'm like, it's how much more simpler could it be?
How long did it take you to make your
First pay period.
money?
First pay period.
Yeah.
First pay period.
So, I mean, you got into it right as a kid. You had this creative interest to get into cooking, and then you were very much on like the hard work service side. Like, was there a part of you that, you know, like kind of longed for that? Hey, like it's good to kind of cut my teeth in this, but I'm not creating like I want to create.
That didn't come along till way later. I mean, I've like I said, cook.
Yeah.
You know, through college, you know, bartending, waiting tables, working in fast food or whatever, it gets a little bit challenging. You know, sometimes the belt's a little bit tighter. Most college students can attest to living off of ramen noodles,
As the saying goes,
mac and cheese, whatever, PB&Js, whatever.
Yeah.
How can you make that even better? I don't know, because ramen noodles back in there was like, I remember when it was like 7 cents a pack, and you could buy 10 for
pallets
like
of them,
50 cents.
Yeah.
So you know how bad those things are for
Yeah.
you. That little bitty packet, that little bitty seasoning packet. So you're off on a tangent here. That
Well, I'm
little
letting you
bitty
go.
seasoning packet
Yeah.
contains double your allotted or
Like
your
of
double
sodium.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like the salt you cook with. That's not sodium is stuff that this stuff is on the shelf for years and years and years because of the sodium in there.
Right.
It's a friend of mine, not in this state, gave me a buzz and I was like, "Hey, I want to sell my truck." And I was like, "Hey, finally, he's had this truck forever, never." And he goes, "I was cleaning it out and I found a bag from McDonald's. The receipt was on it, and it was because that's that thermal paper, and it was barely illegible.
Yeah.
4 years old. The cheeseburger was intact,
Like untouched.
just untouched. I'm like going, oh my god!
You eat that.
Subway, you can't even call the bread at Subway bread because it has more sugar than it does wheat or flour or whatever it is. It's like a dessert.
Yeah.
So anyway, I made my first pay period. I made enough, barely enough,
To get your jam box.
get my jam box.
Uh-huh.
Shot the wad in the first pay period, but I really enjoyed my job.
Yeah.
Somebody showed me that I had value in what I was doing. The waitresses, the management approaching me with that offer in the first place. I was like, well, yeah. I mean, my goal is served. So is yours. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
It clicked.
It just clicked.
Yeah.
As far as business wise, I don't think I'm that great of a businessman. I mean, I think that's where I fail in business. I don't really fail. I don't excel in that part. What I excel in is where I have my deficiencies, is putting people in place and surrounding myself with the best. And it has been one. I mean, if you look at things that a ripple effect, butterfly effect, chaos theory, whatever you want to call it, I don't really. It's perpetual happenstance.
Yeah.
Because you could take a case in point. I've told this story a billion times. Say your wife goes to the grocery store and she gets you a very specific coffee, and in another hemasphere, something happened at the plant or the weather. They couldn't produce the beans to get up to you, so it just dominoes to where the grocery store can't stock the shelves. You can't get it. And you're like, damn, I'm not starting my day with my coffee. Monday through Friday, I've got this regiment. And now, so instead of pulling out of your division and taking a left and going to work, you got to take a right and go into the Starbucks. And you're like, do I really want to do that?
All because
but if you actually do have to do that and you run out of your favorite coffee at home, don't go to Starbucks. Go to Embrace the Grind. They're at Willie's Joint, and see Megan and Ron. I love those guys. They put the best coffee. They recognize everybody before they get out of their car. Usually, as they're pulling in the driveway, they know what they drink. They're maniacal about it. They're the best-hearted people on the planet.
Yeah,
I love them to death. When I get to everything to where it's going, I would love to back them in a brick and mortar. I think they would just slaughter it.
Yeah.
They would. People just want to be around them.
You've kind of put that same culture in place across Mudbugs and Jparks too. Is that? That speaks to you, right? I mean, that appeals to you about the guys over at Embrace the Grind. Is that something you intentionally set out to do, or is that just a byproduct of who you are?
Yeah. In a nutshell, so this when we were opening up Mudbugs before we were open. And there's this, I don't even remember what the guy looked like. And he walked in, and I told him what we were going to do. He was being inquisitive, whatnot, and I love to talk about the restaurants. You know me, so I just started talking. He was like, "Man, you're just going to kill it. You're just good for you." And I said, "Well, that's not why I got in. So I want to get into I want to make money for sure.
Yeah,
you need to just survive, but you need to just survive."
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I didn't get into restaurants to make money. I got into restaurants because I love doing this. I love I tell people all the time, my biggest compliment in something is when you take a bite of something or take a sip of something that I created or I had a hand in creating, and you say, well, that's the best old fashioned, or that's the best prime rib sandwich, or that's the best filet, or that's the best that I've ever had.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the best compliment.
Yeah.
You
opened up Mudbugs. I mean, that was a hell of a time for the world, right? But I mean, Mudbugs was a little bit of a concept in a town that we didn't really have anything like that yet in Buda, right? I mean, we weren't chock full of chains and things like that, but we didn't really have a unique place like that. So where did the idea come from? You had this great build up, tons of support here in town,
right.
And then COVID. Like, walk me through from the brainchild. What were you doing when you thought this idea up, and then the eve of destruction, right? Like, walk me through that timeline in a condensed fashion, which I know for you is going to take still 3 hours, but
right.
No comment.
Let's take this mental Rolodex back a couple of years. Like I said, I've always wanted to open up a restaurant as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And as far as Mudbugs goes, that's been a concept in my brain. I love Cajun food. I was eating medium rare by the time I was 9 or 10 years old. I was eating spicy. I love Tabasco.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it. It's too vinegary for some. That's the reason I do like it.
Yeah.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
So, I had a couple of investors lined up, and I got this one guy, and he was on board, and he introduced me to one of his best friends, and he invests in other things with this guy. And the second guy was all in. I had a couple other people lined up, and then my buddy's buddy had a big project that started to hit exponentially faster than what he thought it was going to. So he backed out. I'm going, that was a big chunk of change.
Yeah.
And then because he backed out, my buddy backed out. I was going, wait a minute. And it wasn't reverse.
Yeah.
He didn't come in first. I had you first.
Yeah.
He was a byproduct of you. You're not a touch the hit, but next. You have to be that quick, because if you sit there and complain about too much, and then you're going to miss the mark on something else. And so I was bartending I took a step down. I didn't take a step down. I took a lateral move from chef to bartender, from one demographic to the next, because I didn't want to work for somebody else.
Okay.
So I got back in front of the public to meet people that I thought would be a good fit.
That was out in Dripping Springs, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Belterra Village. I worked at the league, and man, they've got their act together. Tony C. and Creed Ford, they've got a pretty good operation. They bought Mighty Fine, I think.
Yeah.
And man, good for them.
Yeah.
They're a business I want to talk to. It's been years since I've talked to Tony. I've only met Creed once, and that was at an opening. But anyway, the very first repeat guest I ever had have turned out to be some of the very best friends that a human being could ever ask for. My business partner, Mona Rodriguez, and her husband, Richard. And second night we were open, all the hoopla laws died off from the big party, and the first night was the big push. And I was a hell of a bartender.
If you may say so yourself.
If I may say so myself. I was good. I was told I was good, and I've got a good personality for it. And I learned tricks of the trade from people who've been around I pay attention. I pay attention to what works. Most importantly, I pay attention to what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And to my detriment, sometimes I don't listen to that. But that's okay. I'm a head first type of guy.
Sure.
I'm passionate about everything I do. Why not? It's my one go around.
Yep.
I don't want ghosts of regret standing around my bed when I'm ready to die. I'm knocking those fuckers out right now.
Yeah.
Pardon my language. But where was I?
You're a hell of a bartender is what you're
So Richard Mona. So I do this little beverage napkin spin, and it just lands right in front. And I've got to practice. I'm a little rusty. I tried the other day. I was like disappointing myself.
Okay.
No, let's not do it.
Try it with the coaster.
No, let's not do it. And I spun it landing right in front of him. Richard goes, "That's cute." And I said, "Well, you're cute." So what's it going to be? You're drinking Dos Equis or Bud Light? And he was like, "Hey, man." He was like, "That's racist." And I was like, What? He was like, I'm Mexican. He goes, well, I'll take a dose though. I'm like 16 or, 12 or 24 ounce. What do you want?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what do you think? I was like, it's like, get a 2 for let's do it. And then she asked me if Mona, and like I said, mind you, I just met him.
Yeah.
And she goes, do you make a good margarita? I don't even know their names. She goes, do you make a good margarita? I was like, I won't take offense to that very long. And she was like, what do you know? I said, by definition, all my drinks are fantastic. She was like, really? Okay. And so I made her a drink, and I was like, I put it in front of her, and she sipped it, and she was like, I was like, wow. She goes, that's the best margarita I've ever had. And they had a few drinks and then went off to see a movie. And the very next night they came back in and they sat down. I was like, hey, how y'all doing? Spun it. I was like, you staying with the dose tonight, or you venturing on over to the north side of the board to the Bud Light? Stuck with the dose. And then she goes, I'm mad at you. I'm like, what did I do? She goes, you made me drink 4 margaritas last night, and I fell asleep during the opening credits of the movie. I was like, yeah, I had you at gunpoint, made you drink 4 margaritas. I said, they're good.
Yeah.
She goes, I'll take another one. So that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And we quickly became friends. Richard and I are super tight. We're like brothers. We act like brothers in the backseat of a car on a long trip. Mm-hmm. Every time we're together. We're always jabbing on each other. And I love them to death with all my heart. And Mona is the financial compass of my life. Personally and professionally.
Yeah.
I don't do anything without her. We have the same worries. We have the same ties. I'm as vested as she is in all this. Her so even more, but I paid her back. I paid my investors back.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that.
So you had the idea of Mud Bugs.
Yep.
This was while you were bartending. So
I've had it
you
before
bartend-
then.
I mean,
I've had it before then.
really-
I've got about 15 different concepts in here, and
believe
I'm trying to. I've got one more, the diner next year, which Carlos is heading that off, and then I don't know what the last concept, if the last concept is going to come to fruition. I'm burned out right now.
Okay.
I want to. Once I get the saloon,
You got a few things going on.
Yeah.
So I mean, when did Mud Bugs really start to come into focus?
So Mona and Richard and I, we became super fast friends, like I said, and then I was married at the time, and then both of us couples were just very, very close.
Yeah.
Mona and Brenda are very good friends. We're all associates still. Brenda and I, and Brenda and Mona. And I'd always talked about it with them, and then this was well into my friendship with Richard and Mona when I lost those 2 investors. Mm-hmm. And I was at work one night, cheerful self, because I can compartmentalize like a mother. And they said, hey, come on out to the house. And we're having a cookout. So we had a cookout. There's a bunch of other people there. And then Richard and I were talking, and Mona was there talking. And we were talking about, what happened with my 2 investors. And just went on with the night. And then a couple days later, hey, come back out to the house. I think it was a couple weeks later, we went back out there, just Brenda and I and Richard Mona. And we were talking and blah, blah, blah. And we went into more depth of why the 2 investors left. Because they were entertaining, and I didn't want to detract from that.
Sure.
And they said, well, the reason we asked is we've been talking about it. And it's like, we would love to be your investors, but we want to be your biggest investors. We want to be your business partners and not just investors. I don't do business with friends and family. It's not a good combination. But I didn't chase that. And they didn't chase me. They thought about it. It was calculated, and I thought about it, talked with my wife about it, and yeah,
it made sense. Now Mud Bugs could exist.
So the location I'm in now in the Mill and Grain is the second location we looked at. The first one was at the Mopac and Slaughter, where North by Northwest used to be.
Oh,
and now it's like. Same people that own District.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Can't remember the name. Keepers, something like that. Anyway, so that just didn't work out, and it was serendipitous. It worked out the way it's exactly supposed to.
Yeah.
So it did work out.
Yeah.
My broker Nick Nauman, he's with Weitzman. He and I had sent each other the digital flyer for the Mill and Grain. And then we had another walkthrough lined up in Kyle, some old barbecue in the back strip nearby Lowe's and all that. Mm-hmm. And we walked 5 feet into the side door of what is now Mud Bugs, and I said, stop. I grabbed him by the arm. We walked back outside. I said, you get the LOI. I've got the pitch deck, the menu, the investor, blah, blah. I've got it all.
Yeah.
I said, we were with Doty's broker, and his name is Tim. I said, I'll get everything to you. He's going to get the LOI. We've got it right here. Gave him the package. And then that's it. We were doing the build out, and I'm not a superstitious guy. So how can I swim against the current of superstition? I want to look for the very first Friday the 13th in 2020.
In March. Is that what it was?
And that was going to be my VIP party. And the VIP party was outstanding. It was standing room. It was 300 people in there.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing.
Yeah.
And then that was,
Yeah, I'm gonna say it all came down like the 20th or something like that.
That Monday.
March 15th.
That Monday was, the Sunday was the 15th, and that's when everybody was glued to their TVs.
Yeah.
Then the 16th came, and that was my grand opening date. And we did 1.5 turns for lunch. We filled up for dinner one time, halfway a second time. And then that little cough in the Pacific Northwest that I thought was going to blow over in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Took residency.
2-3 years, yeah. So how'd you guys, I mean, how bad was business? I mean,
I forecasted for us to do about $10,000 a day.
Yeah.
In reality, we were hoping to get $1,500 a day. We lost 65% of our staff after the second week. There was no business to sustain it.
Yeah.
And the ones that I'd worked with before the league.
Yeah.
And a handful of other people, a couple purposeful picks. I'm like, one girl I got from another restaurant. I saw potential in her. She was just withering away. She's not my GM. I got her from Brooklyn. Sorry,
Yeah.
Brooklyn. Not sorry. She's a pistol.
Yeah.
I love her to death. I trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos is my director of operations. Anyway, lost my staff. My core people stayed with me.
Yeah. I'm sure they made their sacrifices as well.
They did. We donated a ton of food because we couldn't sell the full menu. We dialed it back to literally gumbo, po' boys, and crawfish boils.
Yeah.
I mean, mud bugs literally saved mud bugs. We did it under the awning on rainy days, which is now Valentina's.
Mm-hmm.
But we donated food to the fire departments, or the stations, the different stations, to the police department. I'm not going to charge them. I'm giving them food,
Right.
But I wasn't going to lose it. I hate waste. Remember I told you my mom, I hate that. And then but the ones that stayed with me, we had a beautiful system set up. We had the banquette. We had orders set up. People would come in. They didn't want to walk in. We brought it right to their car. People sat out on the patio. We didn't have the deck built at the time, so we just had the tables and chairs. And that's so rickety. I look back at how things were when we first started.
And he grew up.
Wow, man, I'm telling you. But I 100% the reason is Buda.
Yeah.
It's the people.
I kind of wonder. Buda seems to have really embraced you. Do you think that if you took the project on up in Austin, Mopac and Slaughter, you just might have been another restaurant that would
gotten
not
lost
have
in all the
weathered
bullshit.
the storm?
I'd have gotten lost in all of it.
Yeah.
I would have gotten lost in it. Again, it's serendipity.
Yeah.
Because we literally walked out of the door over there at North By and called Nick. He met me over at Mill and Grain. We lined another. We had both the other appointment, and we canceled it, and then it's just history. We wouldn't have survived. We would not have survived.
No.
I wouldn't be sitting here
Because you
talking
needed
to
a town.
you.
It's probably not fair to ask you this question because I think the answer would probably be to not do anything. But like, what would you do differently with mud bugs? Because I think probably what I would say if you shoes be like, well, I wouldn't have done it.
I'll tell you this, Terry. I have zero regrets in my life.
Yeah.
I have the only regret that I do have is that something that I did may have inadvertently adversely affected somebody.
Okay.
I live an altruistic life. I'm not in the industry to make money. I'm in to create experiences. That's what I do. That's what I want to do. That's why I achieve to aspire every single day.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is the one shot you get. And why not make every single moment memorable? Even the mundane ones. It's like, shit, I'm stuck in traffic for 2 hours. There's a reason you're stuck in traffic for 2 hours. Something down the road is happening that you don't need to be involved in.
Because I know James can edit things out and kind of work the magic.
To...
No. I have my own tangent, but it's about altruism. It was either Chuck Klosterman or it was somewhere in Freakonomics that wrote this about altruism, that nobody is purely altruistic, because there's always inherently there's a selfish element to your altruism, because you do it to make yourself feel good. And if you're doing anything with 1% of wanting to feel good, are you purely being altruistic? Or are you doing it if you're doing something to any degree for your own benefit, can you say that you are purely altruistic?
I'll answer it this way. I can say they're being 1% altruistic. How about that? Because I believe that the seed of altruism, it can die in a minute.
Yeah.
So you have to foster that. It's like, I heard something the other day, which I think this is parallel to what we're talking about. What is more effective and what has a better effect on your life? Is it more positive thinking or less negative thinking?
Yeah, more positive.
James, what do you think?
More positive.
You're both wrong.
Well, that's negative.
No, it's not wrong. I see what you did there. I thought about it for a second, and so I hit pause on the screen because I wanted to think about it for just a minute and give you a little bit more time than I gave you. Because when you do something that you have to consciously do it, then it automatically gives you X more fold on the positive side.
Okay.
So if you have to, like, man, I'm stuck in traffic, and this is just I can take this moment to listen to an audible that a buddy of mine sent me.
Mm-hmm.
It's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for positivity or something.
It absolutely is.
Yeah,
so when you force yourself to not think negatively, or to replace that what you would normally have a negative thought for with an alternate thought of why it's happening, or just to brush it off because it is really out of your control, which control doesn't exist anyway.
Yeah.
Then you can just, okay,
yeah,
I get it. Just like, yeah, okay, I'm running a little bit late.
Yeah.
So
it's fine.
All right.
Listen to another chapter.
I mean, this garage isn't going to get him walk away,
Yeah.
By the way, this is dope, dude. I mean, that's I like this setup. This is super cool.
Thanks.
You don't just riding around with a truck on your sticker on it for no reason. You got the setup.
Go ahead and set it up and get it over with.
But so yeah, if you force yourself to have less negative thoughts, then it just leaves more room than all you're left with.
Well, it's a cancer too, right?
Yeah,
that negativity is a cancer.
Is.
Nothing exists in a vacuum. And so you spend a lot of time fighting it off, and what could have taken its place.
And you can just you can just say when you work out, man, it hurts to work out, but that's a necessary hurt because muscle. Yeah, and that's where people, oh, now I weigh more. Well, it's because muscle weighs more than fat. And you're replacing it. Don't worry about the weight. Worry about the inches and where you're putting them. It's the same in what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, and your growth. So what do you really attribute the success of Mudbugs to, and the resiliency, right? I'm not trying to tee you up and say it's the people, right?
Multifaceted.
I mean, give me a good answer.
Multifaceted. There's not a there's an all above.
Yeah.
Okay. The community, 100%.
Yeah.
100%, because you can open up if you don't do a good product. So then I've got a good product. I've got a good staff. I've got great leadership at my restaurant. We don't have bosses, and I hate it when people call me a boss. A boss has to walk around pounding their chest and telling people they're boss. I am a servant leader. I don't ask people to do something that I have not already done or am currently doing myself.
Yep.
I mean, in the restaurant industry, the three most important positions are the host, the dishwasher, and the busser. If you don't have a host, you're not getting set, unless you're counter service, in which we are not. And if you don't have a dishwasher, nothing's getting washed, so nothing can be cooked, nothing can be plated. And if you don't have an expediter, nothing's coming out of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody thinks the general manager and the chef and the bartenders and all that. It's all, we're all gears.
Yeah.
And we all have to work symbiotically with each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm afforded that opportunity because, again, that's where I'm an awful businessman and a genius at the same time. Awful, I have no idea what the hell business is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I'm genius because I put the people around me. Mona, Carlos, Janine, DK, you know.
So then you have the idea. So how long into Mudbugs did the idea of Jparks come? Get
Too
born?
fast.
Yeah.
Way too fast.
In that it took kind of your focus away from Mudbugs, or that you rushed Jparks?
It did. I didn't rush Jparks. Jparks has been challenging.
Yep.
And I love a good challenge, but hot damn.
Yeah.
Hot damn.
More challenging times. You know? I mean,
Challenging times, challenging circumstances, challenging.
yeah.
But, you know, if it were easy, then everybody would do it. And I don't like doing things other people have done anyway. I want to try to do things differently, better,
Yeah.
you know. But so anyway, we're looking for locations. We found the location. We got the money. I put my team together and I said, how much time do you need before you pull the trigger at your job and leave? And these are my core people. I need to know you're on board. And if you're on board, it's a done deal. I've got it. And I communicated all along the way. And then we're getting everything. And like you said, I don't watch TV. So I don't pay attention to a whole bunch of anything. And then we're accelerating because people are saying this is fairly serious, and I just need to get open anyway. It's time.
Yeah.
And we get open, the world shuts down, and people are going, man, you just must have hated that. And that's the biggest thing for a year and a half is what I heard. And so my response is just deflected was, and my coping mechanism is humor. I said, I said, don't feel sorry for me. I said, everybody's got a bucket list at the top of mine. My checklist was open a restaurant at the beginning of a global pandemic. Check it off. I don't have to do it again. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at it from that point of view and you're still putting out a good product and people love what you do, then that's your success. And I say I've never failed in the industry because I've never failed. I've never failed because I've never quit. And I'll find one way to survive one way or another, but I'm done surviving. We're past survival mode. Now it's time to build up and enhance what Downtown Buda. It's getting to its fullest expression.
Okay.
All of Downtown Buda.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at what's coming. You know, Brooklyn was there first, and then there's us, and Taste is there. Jparks is now there. I love being part of that. It's almost ground floor of a business, times 2, times 3, times 4 now for me.
Yeah.
And all in the same town. How can you not love an area that fosters that kind of growth?
Well, where did the idea really come from? I mean, was that
for Jparks or for Mudbugs?
For Jparks. I mean, so was it something that you always wanted that Mudbugs
not necessarily
didn't deliver, or what?
Not
was
necessarily.
It?
When I get an idea for a concept, it's. I quote movies a lot, and this is the best way I can tell you how. So you've seen Good Will Hunting, right? Mm-hmm. So he talks where he's talking with Minnie Driver in the movie, and they're talking about how Mozart could just see music, and he could just sit down, he could just play, and for him mathematics he can just see it. For restaurants, I can just see it, and sometimes it's not the whole and complete picture. It's just a little bit, and then I bring my people in, and then we foster, and it grows out from there. And I'm learning to be better with that. A couple of big key mistakes that I've made with the Saloon that I'll never repeat. And then we'll go over that later, maybe if we have time. I'm not sure, because I've got this girl that I'm crazy about, and she's getting ready to drive up, and I want to tell her that I want to be done in about 30 minutes. So if you'll forgive me for 1 second.
Piece of cake, yeah, absolutely.
Good time.
We are wrapping it up. Be done in. We can be done in 30, right? Can we be done in 30, Jeff?
We're done in 30.
Yeah, we've already gone 40.
Okay. So The idea for Jparks came when Greg Henry told me that he bought that lot.
Yep.
And he goes, he's got some interest from this lady about doing a beer, coffee, wine thing there. I was like, well, this would be dope for something like a little saloon or something like that. That's it right there. And as soon as I said the word saloon, he goes, well, I'd rather rent to you, than somebody else I don't know. I'm like going, all right, done. Then we walked and we talked semantics and blah, 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 blah. And then so that night forward, I went home. I wrote a menu knowing what the square footage I would be or square footage I would have. That's it. That's really it. And it's all about the community. When I say that, you can look on the menu. All the drinks are named after very close friends.
Well, except for me and James.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I'll take the Topo Chico.
Yeah.
But,
Topo Jaime.
Yeah.
Topo Jaime.
But I mean, what you're doing there is unique. What you set out there to do was unique. The project is unique. Where did you want to curate an environment? And you don't
100%.
you don't want us to go have drinks. You told me you want us to go there and have an experience.
Yeah.
Like for the people who haven't been there yet, what is that experience that you're trying to curate, and where are you trying to take them to?
Sort of like a grown-up version, and I don't want to say that it's the same as Mudbugs because it's not.
Right.
Mudbugs and Jparks are two completely different. Completely different. They're both repurposed, and that's other than that, and the logo, which that's the correlation between the two. I want them to draw that that line. It's completely different entity. Originally, no cell phones.
Yeah.
And I took that up not to be to tell people what to do with their phones. That wasn't it. The goal was just completely disconnect from everything.
Yeah.
And I get it. We have kids that are learning how to drive. They're out on the road for the first time, and kids that can't drive. You have babysitters, and you want to be there. We provided an emergency line that you could call it, and I get it, and I get it. It's wrong timing, and I think wrong area at the moment, because I'm trying to do. Tim Love's one of my culinary icons. I love what he does. He has Western themed style restaurants. Lonesome Dove is one of his concepts.
Okay.
And he has a place up in Fort Worth called Katarina's. 40 plus seats, and it's a cell phone free. It's the same thing. Put it in a pouch and disconnect. Same thing. You could go to a comedy club.
Yeah.
Mothership Comedy Club, Joe Rogan's. You got to power it down.
Yeah.
Put it in a thing. I'm like, man, that's just a cool concept. So we can just disconnect from the lives that we talk about disconnecting from.
Right.
I think it was a good idea. I think it's still a good idea. But wrong time, wrong place, maybe. And I get it. People need to, and even when we were going through, I was like, how am I going to put my phone down? How am I going to adhere to my own policy?
Yeah.
Was not trying to tell people what to do with their phones. Was not trying to make people feel disconnected from needful things. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I have very good friends around me that talk to me, and I don't want to be a martyr. All I want to do is deliver good food to a community that I love, that has embraced me, and that's what Jparks is. I did it once. Let's do it again, but more intimate setting where it's, dare I say, adults only. So just get rid of everything that we need to get rid of, and able to have an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just to yourself. And it's evolved into, I want to be saloon and standard. Saloon inferring no kids. Standard is we want to be the standard. We want to be the flagship. We want to lead in our industry. And I still have that feeling. That's my mantra. And I want that to be seen in my restaurants. So it's not an egotistical thing, because I'm not a conceited person.
Right.
I'm the least conceited person you'll ever meet. I love holidays. I don't care about getting things from people, gifts. It doesn't mean hang out with me and have a beer. I want the experience.
Yeah.
I don't want you to buy me a koozie. I don't want you to buy me a T-shirt. Now, if you go somewhere on vacation, somewhere I haven't been
Give me
yet,
something cool.
say, hey, my buddy asked me to buy a T-shirt and I bought it this and this real big print, so I have to wear it. And,
Yeah.
hey, got me a T-shirt and this is what it got me. But Jparks is, and it's still that. It's still that. Even though the phones are in, and people are awesome, they turn them off and or just silence them.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, it's beyond. I'm beyond that now. I'm so excited. I've got this new chef in, Brian Beach. He's inserting himself this week. And he's doing it in such a way it's very methodical. He's going to hit the ground, and his food is going to be on the plates next week. I'm very, very excited. His last residency was at Kokari's in San Francisco. They gave a glowing report about him. Told me I'd be basically a moron if I didn't hire him.
Yeah.
The busiest Greek restaurant in the United States, $18 million a year.
So can you give me some sort of indication as far as what he's putting on the menu?
We're going more towards the Chophouse is not just the name, and let's go back to that real quick. Saloon and Standards at Jparks, Chophouse and Saloon.
Okay.
I want it to be clear as to who we are. I don't want any misconceptions whatsoever. We're taking old things done new ways, and it's a Chophouse, and it's going to be heavier steak influence, chops and things like that. But the signature items, and he's going to make that small kitchen do crazy, ridiculous things. I mean, the kitchen, really, my kitchen, dry storage office, and walk-in refrigerator is probably smaller than this garage.
Yeah.
It's tight.
Yeah.
And so we do very few things, but now we're doing a few more things, and I'm accommodating as best as we possibly can to give the community exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to y'all. It's just like I said, it's not about me. What we did is a foundation to what we're doing now. And just because we don't have an identity crisis, we're not having one. The only thing constant is change. I'm not changing the name again or anything. We're not getting desperate on anything.
Yeah.
We're good. We're really good. With the business has just been, Buda is showing up.
Yeah.
I've got a colleague that is putting a fresh set of eyes. He's also a restaurant owner, and he's going to give me some pointers. And I'm surrounding myself with the best people I need to, because Jparks will be successful for the three things that makes Mudbud successful: the community that we serve, the people that we serve, the community that we serve, the people we use to serve it, my staff,
Mm-hmm.
and the product that we serve.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies 100% to Jparks. We're maniacal about doing things right, and we're going to mess up because we are human.
Yeah.
But my attitude has never been, hey, look at me, I'm doing it because this is my way. I'm not Frank Sinatra, and I'm not Elvis Presley. I'm just a guy that has what I feel an unparalleled passion for my industry in a small town that appreciates what eating something and taking you back to another time feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the small town. I love the small town.
Yeah, I mean, your approach to, I'm even hesitant to call them your restaurants, because like they're passions and they're projects for you. And I really,
100%.
I don't feel like I can say that about everybody's business, but your approach to it is so much around people's experience. It's not, I don't just want to make great food and people to give me great reviews based on that food.
Yeah.
You would much rather them go talk about the time, the ambiance,
Right.
the experience, the people that they met there, the people that they spent that time with. And, one of my favorite stories, and it's not just one story, it's kind of success stories that you've had where these people came in, and because I urged them to disconnect, appreciate the place, I engaged with them, maybe facilitated some conversation, that they experienced one another in a different type of way. And, the phone is such an interruption. TVs are an interruption all the time. And unfortunately, I feel like we've just kind of accepted those as interruptions in our life.
Yeah, and it's okay, because I think, and I sat back and like I said, when I pay attention, when I say I pay attention, I mean I pay attention. I was sitting at Bud Bugs just the other night, and I look around, even though we have the TVs in there.
Yeah.
I look around and nobody's really engaged in the TVs.
Right.
They're all right there. I'm like, And we've already got the have you seen that monolithic TV we have on the deck? That thing is it's badass. It's super cool. So I'll do that. I'm still not going to bring one inside.
I know that.
It's too small. I don't have the wall space. I'd rather have really good bourbon and tequila on the wall than a TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's, when Greg told me that and we went in, it really came from there.
Yeah.
And we repurposed everything we possibly could. I want to go back in front of the historical. I want to change the sign on the Austin Street facing to make it more legible. Mm-hmm. Again, bending to what people don't, I can see it.
Yeah.
Again, it's what I want to do, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love when you come into my restaurants. I love seeing when he comes into the restaurants. Billy Jack Mims, he goes into Mudbugs. That cat eats one thing and one thing only. Wedge salad, medium rare filet on the side, and has a glass of red wine. He drinks those god-awful bourbon Negronis, though, and he tried to give me one once. I'm going, God, nah. I said, you just bought two, bro. He goes, you can't drink that? I was like, I do not like Campari. It's super bitter.
Yeah.
But those are experiences that I have in my own place.
Right. Yeah.
And I purposefully leave my phone in the office. I don't want to be distracted from being in that moment.
Yeah.
It's being in the moment. I was talking to one of my yoga instructors. There's 3 girls, the 3 different days that I go at Black Swan in Westgate. And one of them is Cassandra, and she's on a little sabbatical. And, I was on her last day, the girl in front of me, and she said, you're going to miss this. You're going to miss this, da-da-da. And she goes, yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. And I walked up to her, and I was like, hey, do me a favor. I said, don't miss us. I say because when you focus your energy on missing us and being here, then you're taking yourself out of the moment that you need to be in to be away from here.
Yeah, go be present.
And you just see people's lights. It's just I'm not a prophet or anything like that, a soothsayer, and I have nuggets of bullshit that come out every now and then. But it just seemed pointless. Like I always talk about being in the moment.
Right.
So here I am listening to somebody talking about missing something that you need to be not distracted from. Don't be distracted from it. Right. Be in that moment that you're in. And that's what I want to foster at all my restaurants. And so, I'll put a TV outside. It's done. The phone's in and people are just doing great. I love it. Kids in during the day. I don't have a problem with that. But at nighttime it's adults because that's just, I want that. And y'all want that. Mm-hmm. People are finding time for babysitters or finding time to get away.
What's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
Focus on the Mudslinger Mary.
Okay.
I want to as far as restaurants go, the diner's next. That is,
I don't think a lot of people are familiar with that.
So the diner is in a development. It's a Jeff Barton project.
Okay.
Where the flea market is in Kyle, off the access road.
Yeah.
There's that road that circumvents the flea market and the storage unit places. Mm-hmm. There's that roundabout. Yeah. And the first spoke is North Burleson. The next spoke is Marketplace. North Burleson used to go all the way through. It's now cut off at dead ends. Marketplace does not. So Jeff's mom's house is there. I think I understand that's the only structure that's going to stand. Okay. Everything else is going to get leveled, and then he's 4-story condo style apartments. Ours is going to be the anchor for that development. It's a diner. The LLC is Mudbugs Diner, but I'm not going to call it Mudbugs Diner. It's going to have its own identity. Leaning towards my grandfather's name, Chester, but everybody called him Chet. It's 8,000 square feet. The doors.
A large diner.
Huh?
A large diner.
Large diner, but I want to give my give my staff a massive kitchen. I got no space for a kitchen in either one of my restaurants. Shoe boxes. Yeah. Shoe boxes. And when I say I have a good staff, that's testament to it right there, is because they're working out of tight, very confined spaces, and they do it all day long, every day. Yeah. And sometimes we fall to our standards. The guest doesn't know that, but we're the guest is it. Yeah. I get emotional when I think about the guest because that's who we strive for every single day. We'll never ever purposely put out a bad product. Mm-hmm. But reining it back to the diner, mid-century modern 1950s style diner. We'll do a private dining room that has collapsible doors so we can open it up to the main. Our exterior walls will be collapsible doors and glass anyway, because we're right there at the epicenter of the whole place.
Yeah.
The event center, concerts will be right there next to us. So we can just open up a door. You get a free concert right there.
Yeah.
And we have a bar that's upstairs, completely segregated from the restaurant, has its own elevator. And we're right on the other side of a fence, a wrought iron fence or gate from a second-story pool. Carlos, my director of operations, one of my very best friends, he is the spearhead for that. He is the diner guru. He's methodical about everything that he does. He's highly intelligent, very pragmatic person. I wouldn't want to do this with.
Yeah.
Could I? Sure. But I have way more struggles. I mean, he's a good yin-yang balance for me. He really is. I'm very emotional. He's very solid.
What's the timeline on something like that?
That's next year, minimum a year from now for us to be open. I mean, I think I might be into 25.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've broken ground or not. Like I said, I've been heads down.
Yeah.
Head down in this project.
There's like 3 really exciting projects. I mean, 2 come through fruition.
They are.
Yeah.
I would love to do, I think there's not a very good representation of interior Mexican.
Yeah.
The closest thing we have to that is Fonda San Miguel, and they are crazy good.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to drive 45 minutes to an hour and a half in traffic to go for that. That's why I want to do what I do here.
Well, I think there's so much in Buda. I mean, I know that I'm
Absolutely.
one of them. I've got no interest in leaving town, really. And folks like you guys are making it so I don't have to, to take my wife out for a date or kids out for a nice dinner or whatever.
I was talking to Ashley, just the girl I'm dating.
Yeah.
About Mexican food the other day, and I started thinking, I was like, where can I go in this town and get really, 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 really good non-Tex-Mex, and you just don't find it. And I'm not saying the ones here are bad; they're not.
Yeah.
But I want to ratchet it up just a tad bit. That, and my dad's dad was Chet's Diner, and his mom was Juanita. I mean, can't get much more Spanish than that, right?
Call it Jefes.
So nah, I ain't gonna do that. It was a struggle and a half to put my name on this saloon. I wanted to call it Buda Metropolitan Saloon.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing metropolitan about Buda. It's kind of slapping the face to big cities.
Uh-huh.
But Greg and Lisa were in another city on vacation, and first initial, last name, first name, last initials, a thing. And I said no at first, and then I thought about it and still thought it was stupid. And then I told my friends, and then Greg and Lisa were telling everybody, oh man, they're going to stop telling people that's what I want to call it. And then it just, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then it's evolved in the Chophouse and Saloon.
Yeah.
It boils down. It's sometimes things get convoluted. What is my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. What is my function? My function is making good food, putting good people around me to help make that good food, and that good food, put them in a good environment, and then let the service give them an experience that they want to come back to it with different friends. Come to us for when you celebrate. Mm-hmm. Come to us when you're celebrating somebody's life. Come to us when you celebrate somebody's cast getting taken off, or friends you haven't seen in forever. Celebrate a new job. Celebrate just for the hell of celebrating.
Yeah.
Sideways is a cult classic movie that I love. Virginia Madsen in that movie says, she asks Miles in the movie, Paul Giamatti, when are you going to open up that 69? And he was like, I'm waiting for a special occasion. She's like, when you open up the 69, that is the special occasion. Make when you come to the restaurant. Make when you come to the Chophouse the special occasion.
Yeah.
My prices aren't stratospheric. It's high quality food. We have bison tenderloin, and check out what I just got a line in. Access deer. I got access deer, y'all. Access deer. You know how hard that is to find?
No.
You know how incredibly expensive it is?
No.
I've got it.
What are you making with Axis steer?
The tenderloin. I want to show the tenderloin. And we've got, I think we've got some backstrap coming in.
Did the rabbit enchiladas take off?
Those were so good that we sold out.
Did you?
Yeah, we sold out. We make small quantities of things because we have 31 seats inside.
Yeah.
You know, when I say it's an intimate experience, it's an intimate experience.
Yeah.
And I want people to come in and enjoy themselves and take their time and come to the patio. The ultimate goal is to enclose that patio in a pergola with solar shades and louvers on top, but still keep it aesthetically pleasing. You know, I don't want to turn off the curb appeal.
Yeah.
I want to create more of that. You know, me in a nutshell. You know, like I said, you know, let's go back to 1984 real quick, and
and then we'll have come full circle.
It's after my summer break. Of course, I didn't save any money in Dallas, but I had the one thing that I wanted, and that was the Jparks. And then I had the experience and the knowledge and that I gained from my first job. And then when I got back home, you know, the trendy thing is Jordache jeans were taken off. They had crossed over from from female to unisex.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the thing. And I wanted a pair of Jordache jeans. I asked my dad, "Can I borrow $60?" And he was like, "What do you want $60 for?" I had this exact same conversation with my aunt 3 months earlier.
Yeah.
Do y'all not talk? I want something. And I was like, "I want a pair of Jordache jeans." And he was like, he had the paper, and he folded the paper down. He had his glasses on. He was looking down at me. And he was like, "I ain't giving you $60 for a pair of jeans. If I want to buy a pair of jeans for you, we're going to go to Sears, Penny's, and $9.99.
Yeah.
A pair of Levi's." I was like, "No, I want Jordache." She goes, "Then go get yourself a job and get your own money and get your pair of $60 jeans." So I did. Lied on my application, said I was 16. I was only 15. Got a job at McDonald's. My first paycheck, I made more than enough to get my pair of jeans. And I bought those pair of jeans, and they were the most uncomfortable creep up into the netherworld jeans I've ever put on my life. And I never wore them again after that. I took them back to the shop, see if I can trade them in. I got my money back for them.
Maybe that's your single failure.
No, because I didn't quit wearing jeans. I just wear Levi's. It's the only jean I tried wearing Lee's, and Lee's, you know, they're just not comfortable.
Yeah.
After McDonald's, I got fired from McDonald's because I couldn't run the Big Mac bun station fast enough. That's a real thing, or it used to be anyway.
Yeah.
Because the middle piece gets toasted on both sides, and the top and the bottom get only toasted on one side. Whatever.
It's insider
I walked
information.
3 miles, mind you, I'm 15. Walked 3 miles, State Road 3 from McDonald's to Wendy's, and I walked in McDonald's uniform. Tony Kimbrell was the general manager of the store that time. He walked in, and I walked in. He was behind the counter. And he looked at me, and he was like, "Well, if you're here for your shift, you're in the wrong restaurant." And I said, "Nah, I just got fired about 25 minutes ago." No, it wasn't 20, about 40 minutes ago. It's 3 miles. So anyway, then he goes, "What'd you get fired for?" And I was like, "I was told I couldn't run the Big Mac bun station fast enough." And he just started laughing. He looked at me, and he goes, "That's a real thing?" And I said, "That's a real thing." And he was like, he sat down, and we talked for a few minutes, and he asked me if I was good at what I do. And I said, "Well, tell me, what do you need done? And I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it hopefully better than anybody else has." And he goes, "Well, I just had a grill cook quit. So when do you want to start working?" I said, "When do you want me to start?" He goes, "Be here tomorrow at 4:00. And I said, "All right, get out of school. Might be 4:30. He goes, "All right, make it 4:30. And then a few months later, when I turned 16, I told him, "Hey," I said, "just turned 16. Just want to let you know. I lied to get a job. Sorry." He goes, "Don't lie to me again." He was a little bit pissed. He was a little bit more animated than that, you know. And ended up becoming the youngest manager for that franchise. When I was 17, I transferred down to Pensacola when I left. I went down there and just wanted to get out and do something different than fast food. So I became a jewelry salesman in Cordova Mall at this place called Danielle's Jewelers. Was there for a hot minute. This guy was hired to be the manager of the store. I was just a sales dude, and his name was Charlie Smith. Became a very good friend of mine. I haven't talked to him in years. He was like, "Hey, you should go get it," because he knew the store was closing. He goes, "The West is going to close the store. You should think about doing something else. You're a hell of a salesman, man." He goes, "Waiters are salespeople."
Mm-hmm.
You know, he goes, "Deanna and I we go to Red Lobster twice a week. We leave him $10. I'm like, "Well, that's Red Lobster was worth a damn," you know. And when it was worth a damn, it was worth a damn. It was my favorite restaurant when I was a kid growing up. Where you want to go for your birthday? Red Lobster. I want to get that big red lobster in front of me.
It's my first restaurant job.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was my first fast casual sit down job.
Yeah.
And so I walked in. I got an application. I went home, filled it out, came back and walked in. There was this girl behind the hostess counter. Her name was Elizabeth Wells. She was the manager, service manager. Handed her my thing, and it had really McDonald's, Wendy's, and Danielle's Jewelers on it. That was it.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got an application. I'd love to apply for a server position. And she goes, have you ever waited tables for? I said, not a day in my life. She goes, you got 15 minutes. Impress me. We talked for 90 minutes. The very last thing that she said to me as we walked out, she goes, congratulations. She goes, I said, thanks for giving me the time. I appreciate it. And she goes, I just have one thing to say to you. She goes, if you can bullshit your customers the way you just bullshitted your way into a job, you're going to go far into the center of the street. I was like, I would love to find Elizabeth Welsh to this day. If that's still her name, if she's still alive, I have no idea. Cool manager. I loved working for her. And she gave me the first chance at Fast Casual. And then I just went to Applebee's, worked my way up into management there. Got a taste for fine dining, and then really never looked back. Went to culinary school to learn the business end of it, not to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
Less than 2% really from whatever culinary to jobs. But my drive is I hate disappointing people. Mm-hmm. And I hate disappointing people with food because I know what it's like to be disappointed by meal and service, and people hinge their happiness on it. Yeah. They just do. There was a Father's Day our second Father's Day at Gumbo's, and there was this guy and Carlos. I was sitting at the bar, and Carlos goes up to this table and he goes, "Hey, how's everything so far? Father's Day, mind you. Family's there." And this guy goes, "There's not enough sausage in my gumbo." Carlos, not a problem. We'll take care of that right away. I'm not going to go heat up more sausage. I want to go get a fresh bowl, everything to the. And he takes the bowl back, and they put double the amount of andouille in it, same amount of seafood. Go back and gives him. They call it the Chuck Woolery, 2 bites, 2 minutes. Yeah. He was a host for a game show back in the day. Yeah, he was back in 2 and 2, and that's what the commercials ran back in the day. It's called the 2 and 2, 2 bites, 2 minutes. And so Carlos goes back, and the guy goes, he goes, "How's the gumbo now?" He goes, "Now there's not enough seafood in it." I'm just so angry like that. And I'm hearing this from the other side of the restaurant. I'm going, what the hell is going on over there? And Carlos, then he explained that to me. I was like, I know, I heard it. I'm like going, you hinge your happiness on a meal. I was like, boy, your issue's not with the gumbo, bro. Yeah, it's something more rooted than that, but that's okay. That I don't mind being that whipping boy. Bartenders you're the psychotherapist, you're the shrink, you're the doctor, you're the marriage counselor. You're everything behind the bar, and that's what we choose to do, though. We're in the hospitality industry. I think a lot of people have lost that. The younger generation, I feel, certainly have. Not in my businesses. Some of them, it's completely evident. Kids just don't care. It's a job, it's a way to get away from home. It's an excuse to hang out with friends, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, but I don't get it.
Accept it, tolerate it.
I had my grandfather that explained things to me as a kid. My dad taught me, and my aunt taught me the value of a dollar. Mm-hmm. They're not going to give me shit. They're going to give me the opportunity to get myself in there to get the paycheck. Yeah. Give me that. Give me the opportunity. And then if you want to see me achieve it faster, tell me I can't do it.
Well, I think it would be fair to say that you work for this town. I mean, kind of, the town's giving you the opportunity. I think that's 100%. Kind of something I kind of continue to go back with you, which I think is really cool because I don't think everybody sees it that way. Mm-hmm. Some people really just kind of plow ahead and they say, well, I'm going to win people over, but you've really relied on this community to adopt you and accept you. And I've happy to play a little
absolutely.
tiny role in that.
Well, it's a birds of a feather that people want to succeed. Hang around other people that want to succeed. Yeah. And when you succeed, you don't leave that group. Right. You help pull them up. And I can walk out to my Bronco right now, and I've got 4 hats from 4 other business owners and 1 hat of my own. Mm-hmm. Actually, two of mine. I got my Mudslinger. I've got my Saloon. I've got a Baird Pools hat, which I have 3 of those. I've got a Greg Pratt hat, which is not really Greg Pratt, but Greg, I'm going to get you a Greg Pratt Jr. hat, and I want to distribute those all over town. Just going to do it. And I've got an Anthony Hippolito for Sheriff hat. I support him. I've got a Willie's Joint hat in my car. And I've got about 50 or 60 other small business hats hanging in my house.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
They're my friends. If I'm driving down the highway and I've got Terry Lee Petrol on the left-hand side and I've got to get in a turn signal, disrupt my normal route home, and you're 5 cents higher and I've got X on the right-hand side, my turn signal is heading left.
Yep. And
I'm going to support you. Because that nickel, if you think about it, a nickel in 20 gallons is what? $1? Whoopity-doo.
Yeah.
I can afford the buck.
You got a date, don't you?
She's driving up from New Braunfels.
Yeah.
Yeah, she might be picking up something. She hasn't I told her when I was going to be wrapping up, and she told me, she said she was going to, I know, right? Isn't that crazy how that works? It's not a cell phone.
Oh, okay, never mind. It's fine.
This thing has more technology than the program that put
put people on the moon.
Yeah. The first one did in 2004.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And what do we use it for? TikTok.
Yeah.
What do we use it for?
Yeah.
What do we use it for? I have 2 heroes in my life. And they say that you ever have a hero, strive to never meet your hero.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get to know him personally, he's just a man. He has his own faults and idiosyncrasies but from afar off, I love Anthony Bourdain, but man, he was just a dark soul.
Yeah.
I wouldn't travel down that path in a minute. My grandfather had a way of explaining things to me. My mom was a good example of it. I'd ask her, why? Because I said so. Mm-hmm. That was her answer.
Yeah.
Some things I get. When it comes to cooking, though, she explained things to a T because that was her passion. One day I was lighting firecrackers. I was like 5 years old. 5 years old, very poignant time in my life. Firecrackers, throwing them, firecrackers. So I used my grandpa's little flint lighter, throw it. My grandpa's hearing these bangs. He walks out of his garage and goes, whoa, 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 son, stop. It's like, why, Grandpa? And he's like, this is why. And I was like going, oh, I'm not going to, because I told you so? Cool. Love you, Mom. Love you. He was like, this is why. He turns around, he walks back in the garage, he gets a little gardening spade, and he digs a hole. Takes one of the firecrackers, he puts it in there, stand up, packs the dirt around it, packs it pretty tight. And not just loosely, he packs it in there and leaves the fuse out. And he lights it, and it burns at a moderate speed. He goes, pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. He goes, not so cool if you're holding it in your hand. He goes, that hole that it made, what do you think is going to burn? He goes, blow your fingers off. He goes, that's why you shouldn't do that. Thanks, Grandpa. I appreciate that. And to this day, wow.
Resonates.
Yeah, resonates, yeah. And then there was one time, again, 5 years old, and my brother and I, we would spend a weekend with our grandparents all the time. Love my grandpa, my hero. And he passed December 30th, 1976, just before my 8th birthday. We were spending the weekend with them, and my granddad asked me to do something. 5 years old. I don't know what the hell I want to do in 5 minutes, let alone that. And I didn't do it. Can't edit this out, though. And I remember everything because of the word shit. First time I ever heard a cuss word in my life. First time I ever took a drag off a cigarette when I was 5 years old.
Can't do that.
Grandpa had a cigarette in one of his choo-choo trains because the little puff thing didn't work. What's that, Grandpa? It's a cigarette. Make smoke come out of your mouth. That's cool. Can I do it? Yeah. Right when the smoke was coming out, who walks in the room down the basement? My mom. Well, both our ass. Yeah. So we're sitting there, and the time I'm telling you is after the time he got busted and gave me a drag-off cigarette.
Yeah.
Marlboro Reds, by the way. First drag.
It's a good thing to start on when you're 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he asked me to do something. I didn't do it. Don't remember what it was. He goes, hey, Jeff, come here a second. He goes, did you do that thing I asked you, knowing full well that I didn't do it. And that sinking feeling that you get when you let your grandpa down. You can let your parents down all day long. And it's like, pfft, BB off a freight train. It's going to stop you. Just by your parents. So what? You're my parents. You tell me to do stuff all the time. I don't care. Grandpa's another thing. Grandma's another thing. And he was, I'm like, man, he's pissed. He's mad. He goes, I'm not mad at you. He goes, quite the opposite. Come here. Pops him up on his knee. He goes, I'm not mad at you. I'm not even disappointed. You're 5 years old. And this is all verbatim, almost, because of the word shit. Shit. I love being on HBO, don't you? He was like, I want to tell you three things. The three most important things I'll ever tell you. He goes, the first one is, because you didn't do what I asked you to do. He goes, the first thing you do, the shortest pencil, the smallest pencil is better than a long memory. It's like, what do you mean? He goes, if it's important enough for somebody to ask you to do something like I asked you to do, he goes, either do it right away or grab the smallest pencil you can and write it down, because that will outlast your memory all day long. He goes, the second thing I want to tell you, he goes, you're not going to understand until you're much later on in life. He goes, but the second thing I want to tell you, you won't understand until much later on in life. But you're going to look up to the sky one day and go, thank you very much, Grandpa. And he used 2 evers. He goes, you never, ever, ever get your honey where you get your money. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay. When I got to the age where I knew, I was like,
thank you,
dude,
Grandpa.
I know what you're talking about. Thank you.
Yeah.
He goes, but he looked me dead in the eye and he goes, son, the most important thing I could ever tell you is the most important thing I could ever tell any other living soul. He goes, the only thing that you truly own, that a person truly owns, is your word. And if you go back on that, you got shit. Then he leans back and takes a drag off his cigarette and goes, oh yeah, don't smoke. I take all that and I've morphed my own little saying, and we'll wrap it up with this, a nice little bow. And we could go on for days and days and days. If you want to do a part 2 a couple months from now, whatever, let's talk.
Yeah.
I'll shoot shit with you all day long. Terry, James, and everybody watching, if we truly only have this one existence on this planet, and we don't take this one existence to make it better for the people around us, what the hell are we doing? Or what are we doing? You know, we can talk about the labels that we wear and everything we've done in life. Who gives a shit? It's like in yoga class. You know, if you mess up on your pose, nobody there cares, because they're there focused on them.
Right.
Focus on what you do and do it to the best of your ability. I think the world's problems could be cured with 2 things: good parenting and good diet. You set kids out on the way that you do it, and that's one thing that I applaud all of my friends for. I see my friends and my kids. They're incredibly well behaved. They're cut from the cloth because their parents did it right.
Yeah.
You know, and a good diet will do it right. Look at James. James is a living and breathing example in our presence of what changing something just as minuscule as a drink can do. Mm-hmm. Healthier than he's ever been. He's got his taste bud back. He's got his mental clarity back. And I applaud him. I don't look down on him. He didn't fail at anything, in my opinion. He found out the way that it didn't work for him.
Yeah.
And he changed that. And does that make him any less or more of who he is? Nah. That doesn't define who he is. His decision to live how he lives defines who he is, and his example to be a better parent for his kids and a better spouse to his wife and a better member on his block and a better businessman. That defines who he is. What mark does he want to leave on this planet? Talking to Jennifer Storm one day, and I love Jennifer to death. She came in with somebody one day, and I apologize, I can't remember who it was. And she goes, wow, you're just, talking about mud bugs and now the Saloon, you're really leaving your mark on Buda. And I was like, boy, you're just looking at that the wrong way. It's Buda that's left its mark on me. And so for her to say that's okay. I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it right all the time. And I'll concede to that, but I'm not going to make that same damn mistake again. The many, many mistakes that I've made with the Saloon will have been written down, digitally cataloged, and they're burned in my memory, and I will not make those same mistakes again.
Yeah.
100%. From the people that I hire to the contractors that I use, to the decisions that I make by myself that I shouldn't have made by myself.
Yeah.
I won't make those mistakes again. But I wouldn't change a single thing that I've done because it's led me to where I am right now. And I'm not saying this because I hope she sees it or anything like that. There's many, 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 many great things that have come out of the saloon. That people are writing on the walls and leaving their mark on my business, and I love that because I want that to be there. I want that to be historic. But the hands down, far and away, unparalleled best thing that's ever happened to me, and happened to me because of this saloon, is because of Ashley, or is Ashley.
Yeah.
I met her through this, and that is the biggest, shining, brightest star of Jparks Chophouse and Saloon. The customer satiation is the second place winner.
Yeah. Of
that. Fruition of a dream come true that came true with Mudbugs. It came true with everything that I've ever done. But to see it brick and mortar, that Ashley, that's it.
She's like the embodiment of that. Yeah.
It hands down is.
Yeah.
I knew her that is to say that we were friends on Facebook. That I don't even remember who friended who.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It matters at that moment. And that's the tangent we're on. That's the ripple. That's the wave I'm riding into the next one, to the next one, the next one. It's perpetual. Yeah. But she reached out to me on Messenger, and I hurt my foot. We had you've ever heard of the Chinese farmer? The Chinese farmer, he has this modest farm, has this little family that live on a farm. And a lot of people that watch this have heard this story. And I heard it, one of my mentors online. And the storm rolls through and scares their horse away. And the family goes, "Oh my gosh, our horse ran away during this vicious storm that rolls through one night." The Chinese farmer goes, "Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We'll see." Next morning, it's all cleared up and the water's drying up. And here comes that horse, clippity-cloppity back. And the family goes, "Oh, that's great. Our horse comes back." And the farmer goes, "Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We'll see." The next day, his son jumps on one of the mares to break it. And the horse throws him off and breaks his legs, and he can't help do anything for a while. The family's all sad, and that's just awful. While still sad, the farmer goes, "Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We'll see." The very next day, Chinese government shows up knocking on his front door and says, "We're here to take all able-bodied young men off to war." Farmer hasn't even set him up yet. He goes, he can't even walk, let alone serve his country. He goes, "Sorry about it. You don't have to go out to war." And the family goes, "Hey, that's great. Is it good? We could do this forever."
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all the thing is, there's always something inherently good in everything that happens. We just have to look for it.
Yeah.
And everything about this build has been so challenging. When we had a microburst hit the deck and it ripped the awning and the frame, torqued 4x6s like it was nothing. And I'm up on a ladder cutting it off, and I step up on the first rung with my right foot, the second rung on the left foot, the foot slips off the rung, crashes into the first one. I'm like, son of a bitch. And this is hers, or anything else that is just like a few other words I invented, I'm sure. And then, so the next day it didn't really hurt so bad, but the next day it was like walking on permanently and playing a golf ball. It just hurt so bad. And so I put on Facebook, any of my friends got a boot I can borrow till I can find out what the hell is wrong with my foot. Go see a doctor. 5 of my buddies did, and nobody brought one by. You were one of them.
I was one of them. But was she one of them?
No.
Oh, I was like,
but what she did is,
if I could have been part of that ripple effect.
But what she did, well, I mean, you are. You're one of them. You're my life has forever changed because I'm here instead of somewhere else.
Sure. Yeah.
But she sent me a message, and she was like, "Man, I've got some really great essential oils and some other things that would help." And she was like, and this pain would simulate or feel like this or whatever. And I was like, she goes, "I would deliver them, but I'm in New Braunfels. I just don't feel really well right now." I just thought that was a very sweet gesture, very kind gesture. And you don't see that much in this world. And it stuck with me for a couple of days. And I revisited the message. And we just started going back and forth, and I'm getting ready to send her, "Hey, here's my number. I'm never on Messenger anyway. I'm rarely on Facebook. I don't like it. I don't like being on there. I'm thankful for it. I don't want to get caught up in it." And then she goes, "Hey, here's my number. I'm not much on here." I'm like, perfect. So we started texting. I'm like, you know what? I'm telling my life story. I don't want to do this over text. Say yes or no. It's more than yes or no. I want to. Let's sit down. Let's talk. You want to talk, you're getting the bonus plan. And I asked her out to dinner, and she said yes. And if it wouldn't have been for me building the restaurant,
Yep.
hey, you built the restaurant. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We'll see. Hey, he built an awning and a frame. Is it good? Is it bad? Oh, it got destroyed. Is it good? Is it bad? Oh, he hurt his foot. Is it good? Is it bad? I met this girl.
Yep.
And I didn't just meet this girl. She reached out and she showed me what you don't see a ton of, because we're by nature we gravitate towards whatever, and I gravitate towards her, and I gravitate towards this warm fuzzy feeling that I get when I just think about her. I love driving down to New Braunfels because I know she's on the other end that I drive, and I tell her that all the time.
Yeah.
I look forward to that. One of the very first things I ever told her, and this is so very, very true, especially with her, and I've been looking forward to this so much so I showed up 24 hours early. I told her, I said, I used to say I can't wait a lot. And I stopped saying that a long, long time ago, because when you say that, you wish time away. You wish time from here to that moment. You wish it to be collapsed.
Yeah.
And there are so many wonderful things and so many poignant things and so many amazing things that can happen between now and then. So instead of saying I can't wait for, I look forward to.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing her all the time. I look forward to being in the same space with her. I look forward to being in... It's just so hard to describe. Yeah, it's incredibly hard to describe. I'm smitten.
That's cute.
It
that.
is cute.
Yeah, I like that.
It is cute.
It's the softer side of Jeff.
Man, it feels great.
That's cool. Congrats,
zero judgmental. There's many other good things. I'm not saying that she's the only good thing. I've met some incredible people through. I've seen experiences on people's faces when they walk out of there.
Yeah.
And we've had buyouts. We had somebody the other night that was celebrating the passing of their mom. Made it to 100 days and 100 minutes or something like that. And I thought that was super cool. 2 couples in, and they said that they know that the rule was gone, but they left their phones in the car anyway. And on the way out, they said, we talked about, they've known each other for 30 years, and they've talked about things they haven't talked about in 25 years.
Yeah.
And I just, that's what I love.
Yeah.
I had a 70-year-old black lady walk in the restaurant and she's a regular at Mudbugs. And I've been telling her about my restaurant, how good my collard greens are. And because I told her about another lady back in Pensacola that told me that she loved my collard greens. And she finally came in and she ordered collard greens, and another bowl went to the table. And I went and she was like, that's no joke. She goes, hands down. She goes, look at me. She goes, 70 years old. It's the best collard greens I've ever had. I was like, that's a compliment I could retire on.
Yeah.
So that Terry, that's what I do. I'm in a community where I'm sitting with a buddy of mine that needs to go. His ass is tired, probably falling asleep, and you're indulging me. It'll come back to you 100-fold. I promise you that, because there's going to be a day where you want to sit down and talk, and that's why you're here in this moment. That's why I appreciate that. That in this moment, we only have this moment. Past doesn't exist, and neither does the future.
Yeah.
That's why worry shouldn't exist. Can't change shit that happened to you in the past. And what do you have control over in the future? Nothing. It's 90% what happens to you, 90%, 10% what happens, 90% how you respond.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but respond, don't react. That's the key thing. Is take a step back and let's bring this full circle. Carlos, Janine, Mona, Brenda, Ashley, y'all let me be in that moment. They're the best at what they do. They afford me to be in this moment with you. I don't have to worry about mud bugs. I don't worry about the saloon. I haven't, and since I've walked in the door, James, bring this affordability to that. And I look forward to seeing so many other businesses. Bring Tamara and Travis in here. Talk to them. Bring Jake Akers in here. Yeah. Talk to him. Jake is a very matter-of-factly. He's one of my very best friends. And, I covet those people. Bring Michelle Childress in here. Let her talk about doing hair.
Yeah.
Bring Billy Jack Mims in here.
Billy won't do it, but
Bring Brad Hullum in here. Bring Mark Jones in here. Bring oh my gosh, who else? Bring Greg Henry in here.
Mm-hmm.
Bring Fabrizio and Elpida. Let's get them into brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, you can imagine what they do out of brick and mortar. That'd be fantastic. I wish I had a limitless supply of cash.
Yeah.
I'd back them. I'd back Michelle in her own business, in her own salon. She's so talented.
Yeah.
I would get Megan and Ron Watkins from Embrace the Grind.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down the best coffee, the best way to start your day. Hands down.
Yeah.
And they've got it down to a science. There was a girl there today that was there for an hour, and they've got it down where they make their coffee, and it's so damn good you're drinking it, and they talk to you before you leave, you're done, you got to get another coffee. How genius is that?
It's a twofer.
It's a twofer. Go get you the Sheriff.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful drink. It's all sugar-free, too.
Yeah.
Get you a Terry Lee. Get you a drink that only you like. Can you craft this? This is a coffee drink I haven't had in a while. And you say you've had one at Pigeon Forge or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go, man, there's this coffee drink and da-da-da-da-da-da. And they make it for you. And James goes, oh, can you call this the JGDR? And they're going, what? The James Grayson done right? Can you do that? Can you call this the lead by example? Come on. How can we do this stuff? I can do that all day long.
Yeah.
Let's create stuff all day long. Let's create a community here to where it is all by our friends, named for our friends, in honor of our friends, for this community.
Yeah.
Why not? Why do for something else? Nobody else does stuff for us. I'm not saying that, and nobody doesn't patronize our community and all that, but I'm not going to call it Dripping Springs Cafe.
Right.
I'm not going to call it Round Rock Diner. Give it some semblance to where it's hominess. Well, who the hell is Chet? Why do we want to call it Chet? I've got pictures of that black and white where my granddad's crouched down. My dad's pulling that cigarette out. I got the picture taken right after that, where my dad's actually looking at. He's got the whole pack, and if you look, he's got the pack, and he's holding it. And I want to get one of my guru friends that knows AI really well, or Photoshop, and have him bend that cigarette and put it back in his own mouth, and put those pictures side by side by side, pulling at it, looking at it, putting it, just to piss people off. Well, I got a baby. Van Halen did it in 1984, baby. Why can't I do it now?
Yeah. Big controversy back then.
Yeah. Who I am. James wants to know who I am. You want to know who I am, and everybody wants to know who I am. I am the guy that really does want to be friends with everybody, but I want fewer friends at the same time. Mm-hmm. I want to know you to where instead of going, I'm walking down HEB and going, hey, Mudbugs, or hey, I want you to know, hey, Jeff.
Yeah. Not
hey, Jparks, because that's the, hey, Mudslinger.
Yeah.
Hey, Chet's Diner, or whatever we call it. Hey, Diner. Get to know me. Ask me. And if you see me, and I did this one day, and I was in the one end of HEB aisle, and go, hey, Mudbugs. I'm like, ain't my name. And I want it. It takes me 2.5 hours to shop, y'all. Yeah. For 10 items. And then I walk out with $400 worth of stuff, that 10 items, and I need that too. And I got 2 grocery carts. Yeah. And I don't mind that. I really don't. I love this community, man. This is why I do it. I think that I do. I don't do it better than everybody else. I think that I do because I don't have all the bullshit red tape to cut through that a lot of all the other places do. Do I want to get that to be that big? Yes. Do I want to get that big? No. Right. In one aspect, yes, I want to, because I want to sell back to my staff and retire from that. That's what I want to do. That's ultimately what I want to do, is I want to sell to the people that have helped build this. If they have no interest in it, then yeah, I'd love to sell it. If it doesn't happen, then I won't sell. It'll happen to be it will have to be serendipitous. Have to be. My parent company is called Serendipitous Mudslingers. It will have to be that way, because if it doesn't, then I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. And then I'm trying to put square peg round hole next. Won't happen. Yeah. Well, it won't happen. Yeah. I love my life. I think I'm poised in a position, because of the people around me, because of the community, to help this community do great things. We're recognized for some things. let's get recognized for being not just a restaurant, but for being what Buda is. And that is a town that is growing up, but refuses to not be relevant. Stay in the era that is making us historical society worthy. You know, what Doty is doing on the south end of Maine is, shut up.
It's crucial.
It is.
It's critical. Without Doty's involvement down there, and without all these businesses working in concert with one another, up and down Main Street, really from Mudbugs to Jparks, Buda loses so much of its identity. Yeah.
And she helped keep that there, and we're getting it back. Taste is such a good median in that teeter-totter. You know, we're heavy south, and now we've got, you know, look what Main Street did. They went and bought that other space, and what Richard Verigee and the Moon Tower group was doing. Beautiful space inside. Their staff is fantastic. The product is really, really good. I love Main Street Pizza. Love it, love it, love it. And now we got to get Jparks, you know, and get Amici and Snowball's Chance, and Jake wants to develop that lot there. Let's get people down there, and we're bringing that train depot thing in. So I think that's super cool. Let's build a bridge that goes over Main Street, so I don't have to worry about traffic and everything. Make it safe for them. Just saying.
Yeah.
Come on, DOT. But yeah, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
This right here, and I'll be a broken record, and all day long. I love this town, and the town isn't the structure, it isn't the street, it is the people that do what we do to keep it. Greg Pratt, one of my very best friends, and what he does with East Side Boilers, and how he wants to think outside the box with that. Henry with Willie's Joint, and you know he's got the rail switch there. You got Tamara and Travis. You've got Richard and his guys. You got Mavericks that do what they do. So I got a little bit more time, unless your ass is still
my ass is hurting. I'm going to tell you why my ass is hurting here in just a minute too.
All right, good deal.
So,
please don't.
Yeah. But Allie saw this stair slide thing that she thought it would be great to put on the slide for Christmas, and so Santa came and set it up at like 11:30, and I said, "Man, that looks kind of fast. You know, it's about we got 3 lengths of it, so it's about 12 feet."
Wow!
And I put it up the stairs, and Allie's like, "Oh, you know, it'll be great. The kids, they're gonna see it. They're gonna love it. They're gonna be so excited about it." And I was like, "You know what? I mean, I better try this out first because it looks pretty steep." And I went down, and I hit the ground so hard that I bounced. And I'm pretty sure that my ass bone has not recovered yet. So anytime I'm sitting for more than 2 hours.
You need a donut.
I'll send you the video. I need a donut.
Stat.
Yeah, so the stair slide, it's a real liability. It's like when you guys were young and they had like lawn darts and shit like that.
So.
My hip starts to lock up now if I'm driving more than like 45 minutes. My hip right here.
I got a line on some jarts.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yes, I'm gonna get it.
So, but I'm gonna let you guys go. But I appreciate it, man.
Man, let's do this again. So this is part 1.
Yeah,
part 1.
And you gave us a whole list of people to come in and sit down with. I don't know if I'd.
Dude, you know, everybody in Buda is amazing. In and of their own rights, and I look forward to seeing all those faces come in there. I make new friends every single day.
Yeah.
It was a quasi busy lunch, but I had to disappear and go over to the state of the state of the city.
State of the city, yeah.
I'm excited about what I see.
Yeah.
Or what I saw.
This town is so cool. I had Avery's spelling bee today, and Sandra Bryant was there judging it. I'm like, that's just one of these really cool things about this town. You know, like you see the JP judging the spelling bee at your kid's elementary school. You go hear the mayor talk during lunch, and you wrap your day up with this type of conversation.
Right.
How freaking cool is that? Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
like, it's got like this Mayberry vibe to it. Yeah. Right. So welcome to Mayberry. Yeah. No, well, and we're holding on to it as best we can. You know, unfortunately, we're protecting it, and I'm afraid that if it's eventually going to get kind of eroded. But
I think yes to a point.
yeah,
But if we hold true to what we really have the historical for, and what we really want to keep downtown Buda for, and what we really have all these guidelines and regulations for, then we'll be fine.
yeah,
We just have to make sure that we collectively keep that mentality.
yeah.
And we have great leadership.
defend
We've got great leadership. Lee is a great job. Micah has gotten more done in his tenure in his short time than I've seen in most small cities. And he has my backing on that because he's getting the results, and people need to pay attention to him, and they are.
Yeah.
And council members are also business owners, and so I think I know that if we collectively head towards this future that's coming our way, and we're ready for that with the loop being completed right out here, we're more than relevant.
Yeah.
And so people gravitate towards those things that take them away from the hustle bustle.
Yeah.
So I'm welcoming it. I think that we have the right leadership. I think we have the right business owners in here, in this community. I like to count myself part of that. I'll be the emotional side all day long.
Everybody wears their hat, man. That's your role in it.
So, but I'm very grateful, very thankful to be here. Thanks for this time. Let's do this again soon.
I appreciate it, man.
So
Cool. Well, go get you some HEB sushi.
yes, cheers.
James, good job, man.
Cheers.